Amy Elliott Dunn. July 5, 2010, diary entry. I won't blame Nick. I don't blame Nick. I refuse to turn into some pert-mouthed, strident angry girl. I made 2 promises to myself when I married Nick. 1. No dancing monkey demands. 2. I would never, ever say, sure, that's fine by me. If you want to stay out later, if you want to do a boys' weekend, if you want to do something you want to do, and then punish him for doing what I said was fine by me. I worry I am coming perilously close to violating both of those promises. But still. It is our 3rd wedding anniversary, and I am alone in our apartment, my face all mask-tight from tears because. Just this afternoon, I got a voicemail from Nick, and I already knew it was going to be bad. I knew the second the voicemail began because I could tell he was calling from his cell. And I could hear men's voices in the background and a big, roomy gap, like he was trying to decide what to say. And then I heard his taxi blurred voice, a voice already wet, and I knew I was going to be angry. That quick inhale, the lips going tight, the shoulders up, the eyes so don't want to be mad but I'm going to be feeling. Do men not know that feeling? You don't want to be mad, but you're obligated to be, almost. Because a rule, a good rule, a nice rule, is being broken. Or maybe rule is the wrong word. Protocol? Nicety? But the rule/protocol/nicety, our anniversary, is being broken for a good reason, I understand, I do. The rumors were true, 16 writers have been laid off at Nick's magazine. 1/3 of the staff. Nick has been spared, for now, but of course he feels obliged to take the others out. They are men, piled in a cab, heading down 2nd Avenue, pretending to be brave. A few have gone home to their wives, but a surprising number have stayed out. Nick will spend the night of our anniversary buying these men drinks. My friend here just got laid off, he could use support. These jobless men will proclaim Nick a great guy as he buys their drinks on a credit card linked to my bank account. Nick will have a grand old time on our anniversary, which he didn't even mention in the message. Instead, he said, I know we had plans, but I am being a girl. I just thought it'd be a tradition. All across town, I have strewn little love messages, reminders of our past year together, my treasure hunt. I can picture the 3rd clue, fluttering from a piece of Scotch tape in the crook of the V of the Robert Indiana Love sculpture up near Central Park. Tomorrow, some bored 12-year-old tourist stumbling along behind his parents is going to pick it off, read it, shrug, and let it float away like a gum wrapper. My treasure hunt finale was perfect, but isn't now. It's an absolutely gorgeous vintage briefcase. Leather. 3rd anniversary is leather. A work-related gift may be a bad idea, given that work isn't exactly happy right now. In our kitchen, I have 2 live lobsters, like always, or like what was supposed to be like always. I need to phone my mom and see if they can keep for a day, scrambling dazedly around their crate. Or if I need to stumble in and, with my lame eyes, battle them and boil them in my pot for no good reason. I'm killing 2 lobsters I won't even eat. Dad phoned to wish us a happy anniversary, and I picked up the phone intending to play it cool, but then I started crying when I began talking. I was doing the awful chick talk cry, mahawagwan wawa, so I had to tell him what happened. Still, Nick will be angry that I told Rand, and of course Rand will do his fatherly thing, pat Nick on the shoulder and say, "Heard you had some emergency going out to do on your anniversary, Nicky," and chuckle. So Nick will know, and he will be angry with me because he wants my parents to believe he's perfect. He beams when I tell them stories about what a flawless son-in-law he is. Except for tonight. I know, I'm being a girl. It's 5 a.m. The sun is coming up, almost as bright as the streetlights outside that have just blinked off. I always like that switch, when I'm awake for it. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I'll pull myself out of bed and walk through the streets at dawn, and when the lights click off altogether, I always feel like I've seen something special. Oh, there go the streetlights. I want to announce. 5 a.m. That's the best time, when the clicking of your heels on the sidewalk sounds illicit. All the people have been put away in their boxes, and you have the whole place to yourself. Here's what happened. Nick got home just after 4. I was still awake, waiting for him, my brain thunking after a marathon of Law and Order. He sat down on our ottoman and glanced at the present on the table and said nothing. I stared back at him. He clearly wasn't going to even graze against an apology. Hey, sorry things got screwy today. That's all I wanted, just a quick acknowledgement. Happy day after anniversary, I started. He sighed, a deep, aggrieved moan. Amy, I've had the crappiest day ever. Please don't lay a guilt trip on me on top of it. Nick grew up with a father who never, ever apologized, so when Nick feels he has screwed up, he goes on offense. I know this, and I can usually wait it out. Usually. I was just saying happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, my asshole husband who neglected me on my big day. We sat silent for a minute, my stomach knotting. I didn't want to be the bad guy here. I didn't deserve that. Nick stood up. Well, how was it? I asked dully. How was it? It was fucking awful. 16 of my friends now have no jobs. It was miserable. I'll probably be gone too, in another few months. Friends. He doesn't even like half the guys he was out with, but I say nothing. I know it feels dire right now, Nick. But it's not dire for you, Amy. Not for you, it never will be dire. But for the rest of us? It's very different. The same old. Nick resents that I've never had to worry about money and I never will. He thinks that makes me softer than everyone else, and I wouldn't disagree with him. But I do work. I clock in and clock back out. Some of my girlfriends have literally never had a job. They discuss people with jobs in the pitying tones you talk about a fat girl with such a nice face. They will lean forward and say, but of course, Ellen has to work, like something out of a Noel Coward play. They don't count me, because I can always quit my job if I want to. I could build my days around charity committees and home decoration and gardening and volunteering, and I don't think there's anything wrong with building a life around those things. Most beautiful, good things are done by women people scorn. But I work. Nick, I'm on your side here. We'll be okay no matter what. My money is your money. Not according to the prenup. I've told him hundreds, literally hundreds, of times. I've said the words, the prenup is pure business. It's not for me, it's not even for my parents, it's for my parents' lawyers. It says nothing about us, not you and me. He walks over toward the kitchen, tosses his wallet and wilted dollars on the coffee table. Crumples a piece of notepaper, and tosses it in the trash with a series of credit card receipts. That's a shitty thing to say, Nick. It's a shitty way to feel, Amy. You just don't get it, Amy. You just can't. I've worked since I was 14 years old. I didn't get to go to fucking tennis camp and creative writing camp and SAT prep and all that shit that apparently everyone else in New York City did. Because I was wiping down tables at the mall, and I was mowing lawns. And I was driving to Hannibal and fucking dressing like Huck Finn for the tourists, and I was cleaning the funnel cake skillets at midnight. I feel an urge to laugh, actually to guffaw. A big belly laugh that would sweep up Nick, and soon we'd both be laughing and this would be over. This litany of crummy jobs. Being married to Nick always reminds me. People have to do awful things for money. Ever since I've been married to Nick, I always wave to people dressed as food. I've had to work so much harder than anyone else at the magazine to even get to the magazine. 20 years, basically, I've been working to get where I am, and now it's all going to be gone, and there's not a fucking thing I know how to do instead. Unless I want to go back home, be a river rat again. You're probably too old to play Huck Finn, I say. Fuck you, Amy. And then he goes to the bedroom. He's never said that to me before, but it came out of his mouth so smoothly. That I assume, and this never crossed my mind, I assume he's thought it many times. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who'd be told to fuck herself by her husband. And we've sworn never to go to bed angry. Compromise, communicate, and never go to bed angry, the 3 pieces of advice gifted and re-gifted to all newlyweds. But lately it seems I am the only one who compromises. Our communications don't solve anything. And Nick is very good at going to bed angry. He can turn off his emotions like a spout. He is already snoring. And then I can't help myself, even though it's none of my business, even though Nick would be furious if he knew. I cross over to the trash can and pull out the receipts, so I can picture where he's been all night. And I can see him in each one, talking about me with his friends, because he must have already talked about me for all that petty, smeared meanness to come out so easily. But I'm not supposed to be threatened, no, it's just boyish hijinks. I am supposed to laugh about it. I am supposed to be a good sport. Nick has never cheated on me, he has sworn it, but I also know he has ample opportunity. He could cheat on me and he would never tell me, and he would think less and less of me for not figuring it out. He would see me across the breakfast table, innocently slurping cereal, and know that I am a fool, and how can anyone respect a fool? Now I am crying again. It's a very female thing, isn't it, to take one boy's night and snowball it into a marital infidelity that will destroy our marriage? I don't know what I am supposed to do. I'm feeling like a shrill fishwife, or a foolish doormat, I don't know which. I don't want to be angry. I can't even figure out if I should be angry.
Nick Dunn, One Day Gone. Flashbulbs exploded, and I dropped the smile, but not soon enough. I felt a wave of heat roll up my neck, and beads of sweat broke out on my nose. Stupid, Nick, stupid. And then, just as I was pulling myself together, the press conference was over, and it was too late to make any other impression. I walked out with the Elliots, my head ducked low as more flashbulbs popped. I was almost to the exit when Gilpin trotted across the room toward me, flagging me down. "Can I grab a minute, Nick?" He updated me as we headed toward a back office. "We checked out that house in your neighborhood that was broken into, looks like people camped out there. So we've got lab there. And we found another house on the edge of your complex, had some squatters." "I mean, that's what worries me," I said. "Guys are camped out everywhere. This whole town is overrun with pissed off, unemployed people. Carthage was, until a year ago, a company town, and that company was the sprawling Riverway Mall. A tiny city unto itself that once employed 4,000 locals, 1/5 of the population. It was built in 1985, a destination mall meant to attract shoppers from all over the Middle West. I still remember the opening day, me and Mom and Dad, watching the festivities from the very back of the crowd in the vast tarred parking lot. Because our father always wanted to be able to leave quickly, from anywhere. Even at baseball games, we parked by the exit and left at the 8th inning. Me and a predictable set of mustard-smeared wines, petulant and sun-fevered, we never get to see the end. But this time our faraway vantage was desirable, because we got to take in the full scope of the event. The impatient crowd leaning collectively from one foot to another, the mayor atop a red, white and blue dais. The booming words, pride, growth, prosperity, success, rolling over us, soldiers on the battlefield of consumerism. Armed with vinyl-covered checkbooks and quilted handbags. And the doors opening. And the rush into the air conditioning, the music, the smiling salespeople who were our neighbors. My father actually let us go inside that day, actually waited in line and bought us something that day, sweaty paper cups brimming with Orange Julius. For a quarter century, the Riverway Mall was a given. Then the recession hit, washed away the Riverway store by store. Until the whole mall finally went bust. It is now 2 million square feet of echo. No company came to claim it, no businessman promised a resurrection, no one knew what to do with it. Or what would become of all the people who'd worked there, including my mother, who lost her job at Shooby-Dooby. 2 decades of kneeling and kneading, of sorting boxes and collecting moist foot hosiery, gone without ceremony. The downfall of the mall basically bankrupted Carthage. People lost their jobs, they lost their houses. No one could see anything good coming anytime soon. We never get to see the end. Except it looked like this time Go and I would. We all would. The bankruptcy matched my psyche perfectly. For several years, I had been bored. Not a whining, restless child's boredom, although I was not above that. But a dense, blanketing malaise. It seemed to me that there was nothing new to be discovered ever again. Our society was utterly, ruinously derivative, although the word derivative as a criticism is itself derivative. We were the first human beings who would never see anything for the first time. We stare at the wonders of the world, dull-eyed, underwhelmed. Mona Lisa, the pyramids, the Empire State Building. Jungle animals on attack, ancient icebergs collapsing, volcanoes erupting. I can't recall a single amazing thing I have seen firsthand that I didn't immediately reference to a movie or TV show. A fucking commercial. You know the awful sing-song of the blasé, seen it. I've literally seen it all. And the worst thing, the thing that makes me want to blow my brains out, is, the second-hand experience is always better. The image is crisper, the view is keener, the camera angle and the soundtrack manipulate my emotions in a way reality can't anymore. I don't know that we are actually human at this point, those of us who are like most of us, who grew up with TV and movies and now the internet. If we are betrayed, we know the words to say, when a loved one dies, we know the words to say. If we want to play the stud or the smart ass or the fool, we know the words to say. We are all working from the same dog-eared script. It's a very difficult era in which to be a person, just a real, actual person, instead of a collection of personality traits selected from an endless automat of characters. And if all of us are play acting, there can be no such thing as a soul mate, because we don't have genuine souls. It had gotten to the point where it seemed like nothing matters, because I'm not a real person and neither is anyone else. I would have done anything to feel real again. Gilpin opened the door to the same room where they'd questioned me the night before. In the center of the table sat Amy's silvery gift box. I stood staring at the box sitting in the middle of the table, so ominous in this new setting. A sense of dread descended on me. Why hadn't I found it before? I should have found it. Go ahead, Gilpin said. We wanted you to take a look at this. I opened it as gingerly as if a head might be inside. I found only a creamy blue envelope marked First Clue. Gilpin smirked. Imagine our confusion, a missing persons case, and here we find an envelope marked First Clue. It's for a treasure hunt that my wife. Right. For your anniversary. Your father-in-law mentioned it. I opened the envelope, pulled out a thick sky blue piece of paper, Amy's signature stationery, folded once. Bile crept up my throat. These treasure hunts had always amounted to a single question. Who is Amy? What is my wife thinking? What was important to her this past year? What moments made her happiest? Amy, 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 let's think about Amy. I read the first clue with clenched teeth. Given our marital mood the past year, it was going to make me look awful. I didn't need anything else that made me look awful. I picture myself as your student. With a teacher so handsome and wise. My mind opens up. If I were your pupil, there'd be no need for flowers. Maybe just a naughty appointment during your office hours. So hurry up, get going, please do. And this time I'll teach you a thing or two. It was an itinerary for an alternate life. If things had gone according to my wife's vision, yesterday she would have hovered near me as I read this poem. Watching me expectantly, the hope emanating from her like a fever, please get this. Please get me. And she would finally say, so. And I would say, oh, I actually know this. She must mean my office. At the junior college. I'm an adjunct professor there. Ha. I mean, it must be, right? I squinted and reread. She took it easy on me this year. You want me to drive you over? Gilpin asked. Nah, I've got Go's car. I'll follow you then. You think it's important? Well, it shows her movements the day or two before she went missing. So it's not unimportant. He looked at the stationery. It's sweet, you know. Like something out of a movie, a treasure hunt. My wife and I, we give each other a card and maybe get a bite to eat. Sounds like you guys were doing it right. Preserve the romance. Then Gilpin looked at his shoes, got bashful, and jingled his keys to leave. The college had rather grandly presented me with a coffin of an office, big enough for a desk, 2 chairs, and some shelves. Gilpin and I wended our way through the summer school students, a combination of impossibly young kids, bored yet busy, their fingers clicking out texts or dialing up music. And earnest older people I had to assume were male layoffs, trying to retrain for a new career. What do you teach? Gilpin asked. Journalism. Magazine journalism. A girl texting and walking forgot the nuances of the latter and almost ran into me. She stepped to the side without glancing up. It made me feel cranky, off my lawn, old. I thought you didn't do journalism anymore. He who can't do, I smiled. I unlocked my office and stepped into the close-smelling, dust-moated air. I'd taken the summer off, it had been weeks since I'd been here. On my desk sat another envelope, marked second clue. Your key always on your keychain? Gilpin asked. Yup. So Amy could have borrowed that to get in. I tore down the side of the envelope. And we have a spare at home. Amy made doubles of everything. I tended to misplace keys, credit cards, cell phones. But I didn't want to tell Gilpin this, get another baby of the family jab. Why? Oh, just wanted to make sure she wouldn't have had to go through, I don't know, a janitor or someone. No Freddy Krueger types here, that I've noticed. Never saw those movies, Gilpin replied. Inside the envelope were 2 folded slips of paper. One was marked with a heart, the other was labeled clue. 2 notes. Different. My stomach clenched. God knew what Amy was going to say. I opened the note with the heart. I wished I hadn't let Gilpin come, and then I caught the first words. My darling husband. I figured this was the perfect place, these hallowed halls of learning. To tell you I think you are a brilliant man. I don't tell you enough, but I am amazed by your mind, the weird statistics and anecdotes, the strange facts. The disturbing ability to quote from any movie, the quick wit, the beautiful way you have of wording things. After years together, I think a couple can forget how wonderful they find each other. I remember when we first met, how dazzled I was by you, and so I want to take a moment to tell you I still am, and it's one of my favorite things about you, you are brilliant. My mouth watered. Gilpin was reading over my shoulder, and he actually sighed. Sweet lady, he said. Then he cleared his throat. These yours? I let him read over my shoulder again, his jarringly fresh smell distracting me. So what's that one mean? He asked. I have no idea, I lied. I finally rid myself of Gilpin, then drove aimlessly down the highway so I could make a call on my disposable. No pickup. I didn't leave a message. I sped for a while longer, as if I could get anywhere, and then drove the 45 minutes back toward town to meet the Elliots at the Days Inn. I walked into a lobby packed with members of the Midwest Payroll Vendors Association. Wheelie bags parked everywhere, their owners slurping complimentary drinks in small plastic cups and networking. Forced guttural laughs and pockets fished for business cards. I rode up the elevator with 4 men, all balding in khakied and golf shirt, lanyards bouncing off round married bellies. Mary Beth opened the door while talking on her cell phone. She pointed toward the TV and whispered to me, "We have a cold-cut tray if you want, sweetheart." Then went into the bathroom and closed the door, her murmurs continuing. She emerged a few minutes later, just in time for the local 5 o'clock news from St. Louis, which led with Amy's disappearance. "Perfect photo," Mary Beth murmured at the screen, where Amy peered back at us. "People will see it and really know what Amy looks like." I'd thought the portrait, a headshot from Amy's brief fling with acting, beautiful but unsettling. Amy's pictures gave a sense of her actually watching you, like an old-time haunted house portrait, the eyes moving from left to right. "We should get them some candid photos too," I said. "Some everyday ones." The Elliots nodded in tandem but said nothing, watching. When the spot was done, Rand broke the silence. "I feel sick." "I know," Mary Beth said. "How are you holding up, Nick?" Rand asked, hunched over, hands on both knees, as if he were preparing to get up from the sofa but couldn't quite do it. "I'm a goddamn mess, to tell the truth. I feel so useless. You know, I gotta ask, what about your employees, Nick?" Rand finally stood. He went to the minibar, poured himself a ginger ale, then turned to me and Mary Beth. "Anyone? Something? Anything?" I shook my head. Mary Beth asked for a club soda. Mary Beth closed her eyes, bent in half, and brought her face between her knees. Then she took a deep breath and sat back up in her exact previous position, as if it were a yoga exercise. "I gave them lists of everyone," I said. "But it's a pretty tame business, Rand. I just don't think that's the place to look." Rand put a hand across his mouth and rubbed upward, the flesh of his cheeks bunching up around his eyes. "Of course, we're doing the same with our business, Nick." Rand and Mary Beth always referred to the Amazing Amy series as a business, which on the surface never failed to strike me as silly. They are children's books, about a perfect little girl who's pictured on every book cover, a cartoonish version of my own Amy. But of course they were, a business, big business. They were elementary school staples for the better part of 2 decades. Largely because of the quizzes at the end of every chapter. In 3rd grade, for instance, Amazing Amy caught her friend Brian overfeeding the class turtle. She tried to reason with him, but when Brian persisted in the extra helpings, Amy had no choice but to report him to her teacher. "Mrs. Tibbles, I don't want to be a tattletale, but I'm not sure what to do. I've tried talking to Brian myself, but now I guess I might need help from a grown-up." The fallout. 1. Brian told Amy she was an untrustworthy friend and stopped talking to her. 2. Her timid pal Susie said Amy shouldn't have told, she should have secretly fished out the food without Brian knowing. 3. Amy's archrival, Joanna, said Amy was jealous and just wanted to feed the turtle herself. 4. Amy refused to back down, she felt she did the proper thing. Who is right? Well, that's easy, because Amy is always right, in every story. Don't think I haven't brought this up in my arguments with my real Amy, because I have, more than once. The quizzes, written by 2 psychologists, who are also parents like you, were supposed to tease out a child's personality traits. Is your wee one a sulker who can't stand to be corrected, like Brian? A spineless enabler, like Susie? A pot stirrer, like Joanna? Or perfect, like Amy? The books became extremely trendy among the rising yuppie class, they were the pet rock of parenting. The Rubik's Cube of child rearing. The Elliots got rich. At one point it was estimated that every school library in America had an Amazing Amy book. Do you have worries that this might link back to the Amazing Amy business? I asked. We do have a few people we thought might be worth checking out, Rand began. I coughed out a laugh. Do you think Judith Bjorst kidnapped Amy for Alexander so he wouldn't have any more terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days? Rand and Mary Beth turned matching surprised disappointed faces toward me. It was a gross, tasteless thing to say. My brain had been burping up such inappropriate thoughts at inopportune moments. Mental gas I couldn't control. Like, I'd started internally singing the lyrics to Boney Morony whenever I saw my cop friend. She's as skinny as a stick of macaroni. My brain would bebop as Detective Rhonda Boney was telling me about dragging the river for my missing wife. Defense mechanism, I told myself, just a weird defense mechanism. I'd like it to stop. I rearranged my leg delicately, spoke delicately, as if my words were an unwieldy stack of fine china. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. We're all tired, Rand offered. We'll have the cops round up Bjorst, Mary Beth tried. And that bitch Beverly Cleary too. It was less a joke than a pardon. I guess I should tell you, I said. The cops, it's normal in this kind of case. To look at the husband first, I know, Rand interrupted. I told them they're wasting their time. The questions they asked us. They were offensive, Mary Beth finished. So they have spoken with you? About me? I moved over to the minibar, casually poured a soda. I swallowed 3 belts in a row and felt immediately worse. My stomach was working its way up my esophagus. What kind of stuff did they ask? Have you ever hurt Amy? Has Amy ever mentioned you threatening her? Mary Beth ticked off. Are you a womanizer? Has Amy ever mentioned you cheating on her? Because that sounds like Amy, right? I told them we didn't raise a doormat. Rand put a hand on my shoulder. Nick, what we should have said, first of all, is, we know you would never, ever hurt Amy. I even told the police, told them the story about you saving the mouse at the beach house, saving it from the glue trap. He looked over at Mary Beth as if she didn't know the story, and Mary Beth obliged with her rapt attention. Spent an hour trying to corner the damn thing, and then literally drove the little rat bastard out of town. Does that sound like a guy who would hurt his wife? I felt a burst of intense guilt, self-loathing. I thought for a second I might cry, finally. We love you, Nick, Rand said, giving me a final squeeze. We do, Nick, Mary Beth echoed. You're our son. We are so incredibly sorry that, on top of Amy being gone, you have to deal with this cloud of suspicion. I didn't like the phrase cloud of suspicion. I much preferred routine investigation or a mere formality. They did wonder about your restaurant reservations that night, Mary Beth said, with an overly casual glance. My reservations? They said you told them you had reservations at Houston's, but they checked it out, and there were no reservations. They seemed really interested in that. I had no reservation, and I had no gift. Because if I planned on killing Amy that day, I wouldn't have needed reservations for that night or a gift I'd never need to give her. The hallmarks of an extremely pragmatic killer. I am pragmatic to a fault, my friends could certainly tell the police that. No. No, I never made reservations. They must have misunderstood me. I'll let them know. I collapsed on the couch across from Mary Beth. I didn't want Rand to touch me again. Oh, okay. Good, Mary Beth said. Did you get a treasure hunt this year? Her eyes turned red again. Before. Yeah, they gave me the first clue today. Gilpin and I found the second one in my office at the college. I'm still trying to figure it out. Can we take a look? My mother-in-law asked. I don't have it with me, I lied. Will you try to solve it, Nick? Mary Beth asked. I will, Mary Beth. I'll solve it. I just hate the idea of things she touched, left out there, all alone. My phone rang, the disposable, and I flicked a glance at the display, then shut it off. I needed to get rid of the thing, but I couldn't yet. You should pick up every call, Nick, Mary Beth said. I recognized this one, just my college alum fund looking for money. Rand sat beside me on the couch. The ancient, much-abused cushions sank severely under our weight, so we ended up pushed toward each other, arms touching. Which was fine with Rand. He was one of those guys who'd pronounce I'm a hugger as he came at you, neglecting to ask if the feeling was mutual. Mary Beth returned to business. We do think it's possible an Amy obsessive took her. She turned to me, as if pleading a case. We've had M over the years. I suspected these stories were inflated. The men always came off as dangerous to a very precise degree. Enough for me to worry about, but not enough to require us to involve the police. In short, a play world where I could be Amy's chest-puffed hero, defending her honor. Amy was too independent, too modern, to be able to admit the truth. She wanted to play damsel. Lately? Not lately, no, Mary Beth said, chewing her lip. But there was a very disturbed girl back in high school. Disturbed how? She was obsessed with Amy. Well, with Amazing Amy. Her name was Hilary Handy. She modeled herself after Amy's best friend in the books, Susie. At first it was cute, I guess. And then it was like that wasn't good enough anymore. She wanted to be Amazing Amy, not Susie the sidekick. So she began imitating our Amy. She dressed like Amy, she colored her hair blonde, she'd linger outside our house in New York. One time I was walking down the street and she came running up to me, this strange girl, and she looped her arm through mine and said, "I'm going to be your daughter now. I'm going to kill Amy and be your new Amy. Because it doesn't really matter to you, does it? As long as you have an Amy." Like our daughter was a piece of fiction she could rewrite. We finally got a restraining order because she threw Amy down a flight of stairs at school, Rand said. Very disturbed girl. That kind of mentality doesn't go away. And then Desi, Mary Beth said. And Desi, Rand said. Even I knew about Desi. Amy had attended a Massachusetts boarding school called Wickshire Academy. I had seen the photos. Amy in lacrosse skirts and headbands, always with autumn colors in the background, as if the school were based not in a town but in a month. October. Desi Collings attended the boys' boarding school that was paired with Wickshire. In Amy's stories, he was a pale, romantic figure. But she began to find him alarming. He talked as if they were engaged, he knew the number and gender of their children. They were going to have 4 kids, all boys. Which sounded suspiciously like Desi's own family. And when he brought his mother down to meet her, Amy grew queasy at the striking resemblance between herself and Mrs. Collings. The older woman had kissed her cheek coldly and murmured calmly in her ear, "Good luck." Amy couldn't tell if it was a warning or a threat. He still lingered around the Wickshire campus, a ghostly figure in dark blazers, leaning against wintry, leafless oak trees. Desi left school shortly after. But he still phoned her, even now. And several times a year sent her thick, padded envelopes that Amy tossed unopened after showing them to me. They were postmarked St. Louis, 40 minutes away. It's just a horrible, miserable coincidence, she'd told me. Desi had the St. Louis family connections on his mother's side. This much she knew but didn't care to know more. I'd picked through the trash to retrieve one, read the letter, sticky with Alfredo sauce, and it had been utterly banal. Talk of tennis and travel and other things preppy. Spaniels. I tried to picture this slender dandy, a fellow in bow ties and tortoise-shell glasses, busting into our house and grabbing Amy with soft, manicured fingers. Tossing her in the trunk of his vintage roadster and taking her, antiquing in Vermont. Desi. Could anyone believe it was Desi? Desi lives not far away, actually, I said. St. Louis. Now, see? Rand said. Why are the cops not all over this? Someone needs to be, I said. I'll go. After the search here tomorrow. The police definitely seem to think it's close to home, Mary Beth said. She kept her eyes on me one beat too long, then shivered, as if shaking off a thought.